Hello again. In this video we're going to look at a number of things. We're going to look at making sure things fit on the screen. We're going to look at the difference between discrete and continuous data, and then we're going to add a second data set to our visualization. But before we do that, I think we should think a little bit about the implications of the word public in Tableau Public. As mentioned earlier, we save our visualizations to the web, where they are in principle available for anyone, so you need to be careful about what sort of information you save. Our ethical system generally precludes people from posting personal information, so that shouldn't be a problem with the data we produce, things like projects. Bear in mind, if your data is commercially confidential, Tableau Public is probably not the place to post it. The paid-for version does allow you to save offline. Okay. Making things fit. At the moment it's not a big problem because we've only got one graph here, we don't have any controls. Later on we're going to end up with several graphs on the same screen with controls, and it'll be quite difficult to get things fit. What will happen is Tableau will scrunch these down, and you'll only be able to see the whole graph if users use scroll bars, which isn't very satisfactory. What we want to do is set this so we always see the whole graph no matter how small we make it, and that's quite easy to do. All we do is go to what's called the fit menu. There's a number of options here. Normally we just click on entire view. So now, however small we make this, it'll always be completely visible. Our data here is presented as a continuous line, which arguably isn't the best way to do it. There's two types of data, broadly speaking, in this context. There's continuous data and discrete data. We can see what the difference is if we convert year to discrete data. Let's click on the down arrow there, and then click on convert to discrete. And it produces a bar chart, which I think makes it clear what discrete data is. These are separate containers of data. So for 1969, 120 grams fat consumption per person. 1980, 106. We've done it as a continuous line because just for simplicity's sake, but you need to bear in mind that there is a difference between discrete and continuous data. If you read the blog page, the blog post on this, there's much more information about it. Okay, one thing what you might want to notice is that these two pills are now different colours. The one for fat consumption is still the original green, indicating it's continuous data, but the one for year has changed to blue, indicating it's discrete data. But I'm just going to change that back again to continuous just by going down there. Okay. One thing I should mention about year is that Tableau doesn't really understand dates. This is because Excel doesn't really understand dates. It's not a problem here, but you may find in some circumstances when you try to upload date information in Tableau, strange things happen. We'll talk about this a little bit later on. Okay, so we're going to have a second data set, and the second data set we're going to add is our data for, it'll be energy consumption. So all we do is just pick up the pill for energy and drop it onto the row shelf, and we now see two graphs appear, which is fine, but it would be nice if we had both lines on the same graph, and that's quite easy to do. You can really do it from the second one you've added, and you can do it for more than, if you do it for, you have more than two pills here, it's quite difficult the way we set up the data now to have more than one line on the graph, but we'll show you how to do that in later videos. So all we do is click on this and click on dual axis. So now what we've done is produce a graph, a visualization, which has two y-axis, one for fat consumption, one for energy consumption. We're going to do our usual formatting thing there to make it a little bit bigger. So we'll make that 12 point, and we'll make it a slightly different colour, make it a purpley colour. Over here we've got a little colour indicator, colour key, indicating that the line for energy is blue and the line for fat consumption is orange. Tableau has picked these two colours as being quite different from each other, and it will attempt to pick different colours with for however much information you have on the screen. You can edit it in, and sometimes you do need to. Okay, so here's something which often comes up. What about this big area of blank space down here? Would our data look a bit better if we got rid of that area? It's something you do often see, but you need to be a little bit careful about this. we'll set it up so that we've done that, and then we'll talk about the problems that can arise. Okay, so what we're going to do is change the extent of these axes and have them not going from 0 basically. So this one starts about 1300, I guess, and this one starts at 60. So we'll right click on that one and go to Edit Axis. Now in here there's the range facility, which we can change to fixed, and then we'll change that one to, what will we decide? We'll have it in 60. And click on OK. We'll now see that the information takes up a much bigger part of the graph. There's less white space, but it's probably arguably exaggerated the differences. So if I do the back button, you can see the differences there. Here appear to be relatively small, relatively large compared to here, which is a problem. This manipulation of the axes is often done to mislead people with data. There's a good website which we can have a look at. This Wikipedia website, just open it up, there it is, called Misleading Graph. Probably shouldn't be misleading graphs, I guess. But it's got a number of examples of how this is done to distort people's perception of information. And down here we've got an example which is similar to the one we've just actually created. Same information here. In this case the data starts at 0. And doesn't look to be a whole lot of difference between the bars, whereas this one, which starts at about 9,000, looks like much more significant changes than it actually is. So this is something to bear in mind. It can be legitimate, but often it can be a way of manipulating information. Okay, before we go any further, what we're going to do is we'll save our data, and then when we've done that, what we'll do is rename this worksheet. Okay, so just to rename the worksheet, what we do is just right click there, go to rename sheet, and I'm going to call this raw data, because in the next video and link blog posts we're going to have a look at another way of looking at this data. The moment we've only just got the numbers, there are other legitimate ways of looking at the data. Yeah, we're up to about 7 minutes, so I think I'll call it a day for this video. Thanks for listening. Next video we'll have a look at titles and captions and multiple workbooks, and start thinking about introducing calculations. Okay, so thanks for listening.